Hi y'all, Jan here, back with our last video showing you how to recreate our charts without using any code. This time we're in Figma, and Figma is kind of like the, online alternative to Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop, although they are owned by Adobe now, so how different it is remains to be seen. But our team uses Figma because it's great to be able to share files and collaborate on files and have multiple people working on the same designs at once. So this is just a screenshot of a chart that I built for a freelancer's piece. Tyler Machado did a piece on looking at kind of the colors of NBA uniforms and how often each color is kind of worn home versus away. And so you can see that this is just kind of like a fancy table with some percentage bar charts in them for each team within like your team or your kind of chosen team highlighted at the top. So this is actually just a screenshot from the piece, but if I scroll over here, this is the exact same thing, but I've built it in Figma. And I'll zoom out so you guys can see that as well and see just kind of like how similar these two things are. So one in code, one in no code. And this video, we're going to be using Figma to kind of recreate this no code piece. So I've got us an artboard over here that we can work on. What we're really going to be interested in is Figma's tool called auto layout. And that's going to help us just kind of place things in a grid type structure. So if you're familiar with CSS Grid or Flexbox, definitely think about that. And it ends up being just kind of these like nice nested boxes that we can kind of collapse onto each other. So the first thing that I'm going to do is build kind of this like upper box, which looks at kind of your chosen team with some jerseys and then the percentage that they wear those jerseys. So first thing I'll do is draw another frame, and I'm going to tell this frame to also to use auto layout, and I'm going to tell it to fill the container. And I'm going to also make sure that this frame is on the top layer and that this kind of like background is locked below. And then I'm just going to change some things about the appearance of that frame. So we'll tell it to give it a fill, tell it to give it a stroke, and then we'll kind of expand that stroke in this click here and just say, we want it to only be on the bottom. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of opacity to this so that we get a little bit of just kind of that background coming through. And then I know that I'm going to need one box for this kind of like your team, and then 5 boxes for the individual kind of like jersey setup. And so kind of the way to do that is draw another frame inside of this frame. And then inside of this frame, we're also going to use auto layout. So I'm going to start naming these frames so that we can kind of keep track of them. That's the white box. This is going to be like the team name box. And then inside this kind of team name box is where we kind of want to start adding this text. So here, we're going to call that your team. And then I'm going to copy and paste it again. And since I know this is Memphis Grizzlies, we're going to call it Memphis Grizzlies. Right now you can see that like if I copy and paste any kind of item, it automatically goes to like it horizontally. But if I take this and knowing that auto layout is triggered, I want to just say, okay, I want this to go to the vertical layout. And that immediately switches the orientation there. And then you can kind of see these, like if I wanted to align it to the center, there's everything in the center. In this case, I want to align it to the right. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm also going to take all of this and I'm just going to use kind of the font that we used for this and then just bump up the sizes here. I'm just going to go and reference these sizes. This looks like, okay, 18 is the top one and then 28 is the bottom one. So that's 28 and it's bold, and this one was 18. So now that we've got kind of that one, we can kind of start building the other boxes. So I'm going to draw another kind of frame here, and we're going to say this is, you know, kind of a jersey type box or something like that. We're again going to click on the auto layout, and I know that I'm going to need this to be a vertical auto layout, and you can kind of see here that that box got really small because right now it's hugging its contents. So when you start to put stuff in it, it'll expand. So I'm going to see if I can add a type there, and I know that this one is called association. And then I'm gonna also make that bold, and let's see what size this is over here, 24. So go back and say 24. And then be under the association, what I'm gonna do is I'm just clicking down in to grab this jersey, and then I'm gonna go back to this jersey type box, click that in, and you can see here that that gets placed below the association label, and then I come back over to kind of this alignment thing, and I say, okay, I want everything to align to top center. That'll move the jersey to the center. And then this is the section where it kind of gets, we're going to start to make the bars, and it gets kind of fun. So we're going to take another frame. We're going to draw that frame in here. You know, we'll draw it out, something like that. And this is, we're going to call it just outer bar. And right now, we also want to tell this to use auto layout. We want to tell it to fill the container. And then I want to make sure that I'm giving it a stroke. So 3 pixel stroke. And also I'm going to give it this white fill. So within this kind of bar here, what we want to do is now we can draw this rectangle. And that'll kind of be our proportional bar. So let me go and make this black there. You'll notice here that the rectangle has some insets on it, and that's also a Figma kind of auto layout property. So you can go here and you can use these tools here to say, like, no, I actually want the bar to be the not have any kind of padding horizontally or vertically. So we've got that piece in. And then I'm also, inside of this outer bar, I'm going to add the percentage here. So we're going to say 39%, and this is 24. So 39%, but regular. And now we can kind of start to see how this could potentially work. Right now, this bar is just like an arbitrary amount. I don't know if, you know, what kind of percentage it is at all. The trick that I use for building kind of bar charts is I just I take this, and I'm actually going to take this on the outer bar, take off the filled container. We're just going to set it to fixed width, and then if I do this, you can see that now that's pushing the text out. So I drag this bar to the full width. I know that the percentage needs to be 39. So then I just basically do some multiplication on the width. So I multiply it by 0.39, and it gives me that percentage there. And you can kind of see like how we start to build this out. So now we've got the association jersey, and we know we need like 5 more of these. So just copy and paste it. It pastes kind of right next to, I think actually we only need 5 of those. It copy and pastes it, and you can see if you go all the way back to kind of this white box, you can see the padding in between it. Say you wanted to make the horizontal padding even more, you can change that, and you can kind of see here how these boxes kind of start to have padding to them. You can change this so that, let's see if it'll do it. It's added padding to the top there. So these kind of like padding controls are going to be your best friend in kind of figuring this out. So I'm going to zoom out so I can kind of see exactly how I need to make things work again. Actually, I'm going to delete these for a second, and I'm going to look at this and just see, okay, how wide is that? That's like 211 right now. So we're going to set this jersey box to 211.4 or whatever it was, so that I know that when I space these out, it'll kind of work to my advantage. And then the same kind of for this outer bar. Let's go back to that outer bar and say, now I want the width to fill the container. And we can kind of do this for all of those. Width, fill the container. And then I'm just going to go back and make sure that these percentages are right. So again, multiply that by 3.9. Then the next one is 16. So we can take that, drag it, multiply it by 0.16, and then change the text so that we know we multiplied it. Then it's 27, 18, and 0. So 27, 18, 0, which means that we don't need that. And then let's just get these to the right kind of width there. Oops, went too far on that one. 0.27, and then this is multiplied by 0.18. And then you'll see here that this one, because it doesn't have a bar, it doesn't have any kind of horizontal or vertical padding to it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of padding so that 0 is not kind of directly up against that bar. I'm just going to go back over here and reference kind of some sizes here. I know that this is 36 height, so I can go back to my bars and say, okay, right now it's like hugging the contents, but let's make it 36. Let's do the same thing for all of the other outer bars and make them all 36. And then I'm just going to go and grab kind of these jerseys from the other piece. And you can see when I paste it in, it just kind of automatically flows, which is super, super easy to move stuff around. Statement, city, and classic. And we'll just grab these. This is just me like double clicking to get down into the layers. Again, just some double clicks to get down. You could also get into those layers on the right side, or sorry, the left side, in this kind of thing right there. And then this is the last one. Okay. The other thing that I know we need to do is make sure that this Memphis Grizzlies thing is aligned to the bottom there. So what we're going to do there is go back to kind of this top level white box, and we're going to look at the alignment. And so we're actually just going to align it to the bottom left, and then it'll kind of automatically align stuff. The other thing that I'm going to do is just add in some padding here so that we can get some vertical spacing. And then on the height, I'm going to change that to hug contents. So it knows that we want to make sure that it is the size of kind of what's in there plus the padding. We'll take that down a little bit. And then basically you just kind of like repeat this setup for the other bars. So for example, instead of like white box, I'm just going to copy the white box down here, and you can see that it's already kind of got, you know, it's set up, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete basically everything I don't need. So I know that I don't need these labels, and I know I don't need these jerseys. And so we'll just delete that, and it'll kind of automatically reflow into this kind of row setup. I'm also going to take your team out. I'm going to relabel this new Knicks. and I am going to kind of take some of these stylings off of that white box. So take the fill off, take the stroke off, and now you've got your setup for the next bars, and you can continue to kind of like copy and paste these down. One thing that I did in the other one is if you select kind of both of those rows and you say frame selection, that's going to make kind of a new frame that you can then do auto layout in. So I'm going to say use auto layout here, and right now it says there's like 64 pixels of space, and so no, I want it to be like even smaller, like maybe even 0, and then kind of go into these white boxes here, knowing that they also have this vertical spacing, and just tell it like maybe 8 or something. And then also we can change that height to hug the contents so that you can kind of see that those are getting even smaller. You can even kind of change these individually. So if I wanted 8 on the top, but none on the bottom, expand that out. And then here you just kind of, do the same thing. So this is 54%, drag it out to full width, multiply by 54, change the percentage on that, and you can see that kind of as you go, this is going to end up getting you to a system that looks really, really similar to that original chart there. I think that auto layout is an awesome tool for just doing these things really quickly. You can see here that if you needed to kind of reorient this and you don't need to go horizontal anymore, I'm going to say we'll make it vertical. So it's just like basically kind of flex box, like, is it column or a row? But it's really quick, so you don't have to move everything around individually. And then the last thing I want to show you guys is some of the things that we've kind of done I've done in using Flexbox, or using the auto layout in Figma for other kind of projects. A lot of times it's great to use it for things that we've done online that we want to convert to social. So that's kind of what all these are. This is just flex of boxes that kind of look like buttons from the fanfic project. This is also Flexbox, or sorry, not Flexbox, auto layout. This is also auto layout. You can kind of see that these are like nested boxes in here, icons. There's kind of like the frame of the name, and then there's the frame of kind of all of these pictures. And you can see here that I've just got a really like a negative margin on them, but if I said 40, they'd be spread out even more. So you can do this with anything that's in a box, basically. Here's one on that's kind of like a waffle chart based on Alvin Chang's story about sci-fi worlds and kind of their storylines. This is same thing. It's just a giant kind of like Flexbox auto layout nested thing column. It's got the percentage on it, and then this like giant grid of boxes, and then the year kind of at the end there. This is another one that was done using auto layouts here. Basically every bar is a column, and then inside of that it's just the percentage, the bar, and the date, and how those bars are calculated. Again, it's like I'm gonna actually that one's a little bit weird because it's in another auto box, but let me just take it out here and kind of show you guys. So a lot of the times what I'll do is just make it easy on myself. So I'll set the height to like 100 pixels, and then I'll copy and paste. And if I know that this bar needs to be 50, then I'll just set that to 50. And then if that one's 100, I'll set it to 100. Say this one's 80. And so then I'll just kind of select all of them and tell them to go, tell them to align to the bottom there. So measuring off of 100 is also a great way to kind of set those bar numbers, and then you can notice that they'll scale as you go, so you don't have to worry about kind of when you move around stuff if your percentages aren't right. So this is the longest of the video because it's my first video ever doing one in Figma, and I wanted to make sure you guys knew how to use auto layout because it's great for making these kind of boxy setups.